Yeah, and we're on. All right, welcome back, everyone. It's another week of us weirdos. So you're listening to Paranormal if you haven't figured it out yet. We are your hosts. I am Rachel, and we have
I'm Kaz.
and no co-hosts today, like side co-hosts. We're
No,
giving
it's
them a break.
weird. We're
It's kind
actually
of
going to
annoying.
get through an episode without being interrupted every 5 seconds by weird things and ghosts
Listen,
of the people buried in the cemetery down the street.
the
It's great.
last time we tried to do an episode, it was still an episode of chaos because everything under the sun was happening. What did I get? 2 phone calls. Then
Oh
the
my gosh, that
dogs
was
wanted out.
hilarious.
I made sure I called my mom before this started, so we should be good. Jay's currently in the bathroom, so we should be really good.
Yeah, we've got at least an hour and a half.
Literally. I will never figure out why it takes them so long in there.
Don't ask. That's the best advice. Don't ask.
Anyways, what is new in the world of paranormal? We have a paranormal meetup that we've scheduled that we're
Yes,
going to
that's
be doing
exciting.
on the 9th, and that's going to be at the Zen Shop in Oshawa, and it's just an informal get together. The Zen Shop does need people to register so they know how many people, because it's not this huge massive place, so they need to make sure they stay within code and all that, so they just need to know if you're coming, so just register with them. It's absolutely free.
Love it.
Yeah, that's fun. What else is there? That is it.
That is it.
For this
Because
month. For this month.
exactly, we
Well,
like are
no, not even for this month.
literally
That's in April. Never mind. This month is
yeah. Yeah, this is our downtime for the upcoming chaos that's about to ensue, I think,
Mhm.
because it's
It
going to
starts
be very busy
it
very
starts the
soon.
first weekend of April, and it doesn't end until the first weekend of November.
Pretty much.
I had to think about
Pretty
that for a few seconds.
much.
So that
Yeah.
will be fun. That will be lots of fun.
Or there we go. Now I can
Yeah.
actually. I'm very excited to get started because when you ghost hunt, you tend to go through withdrawal when you are not ghost hunting.
Mhm. It's
It's
very
very
true.
strange.
It's weird.
And you try to watch like ghost shows in between, and then that just makes you want to do it even more.
Or you start yelling at the TV. Like,
Yeah.
I've been there. That's not how that is.
Or you're just like, bullshit.
So many times.
Yes.
But then you
But for the
watch too
most
many ghost shows, and then they kind of all start blending into one, and then you wonder why everybody screams so much, and what's the point of watching it?
yeah, I only watch 2 shows, to be honest with you. And they are vastly different, but I like them both. So it's good. And I like that fact. There is times though where I'm just like, I don't believe that.
No, not at
But
all.
it's entertaining.
It's literally
And
what we're there for.
it honestly just makes me just want to get out and go and do stuff.
I know.
And
You
then I
just
start to think, okay, so when we're on our next hunt, this is what we're gonna do, and we're gonna take this, and I'm gonna try this thing. But you know what? That never happens because as soon as we get into a place, it usually has plans for us.
Yeah.
And then that's it.
And we let them decide. We let
Yeah.
the location tell us how it's going to be. Which somebody asked the other day, who was somebody? I can't remember who it was. And they said, how do you know what equipment to use, or what equipment do you use when you investigate? And like, what equipment do you rely on? And I literally said, well, it depends on the location, because some locations will say, we'll use more lights and sound.
Mhm.
Some locations will use more words and voices. So we kind of let that location let us know what they're going to choose, and then we'll use those pieces of equipment.
Exactly.
Right. So
Sometimes we don't even have time to get the equipment out.
no.
We're like, oh, we're struggling. And sometimes we have way too much equipment out.
Yeah.
And it's a balance. Like you said, every location is different, and every time you go, it's different.
Yep. And that has
So-
absolutely nothing to do with what we're talking about today.
No. As per usual, we're already off the rails.
Hey, wouldn't be paranormal without being off the rails. The chaos
Exactly.
ensues. Anyways, today's topic is monsters, like monsters from all over the world. And most of
Yes.
these, I think, could fall under like cryptids. Like some of mine, I know definitely could.
Mhm.
Myths, legends, and stuff like that. So, but people have said to have had experiences with them. So, we're going to talk about a few. Who wants
Just a
to go
few.
first?
It doesn't. You can go first if you like.
I will go first because everybody knows this one. At least I hope everybody knows this one. Let me get my notes out here. So, we're going to talk about the chupacabra. And every time I hear that name, I think of those damn suckers. Chupa chupa.
Oh, those lollipop things that have the stuff in the middle.
No, those are
Yes.
Tootsie Rolls. I don't know what the
No.
chupa chupas are just, but anyways.
Oh, it's
All right.
just it doesn't have the candy in the middle.
No,
I do know what you're talking about though.
I know.
And
All right.
side note, not that it's relevant, they have ginormous ones. My friends have twins, and they got them each ginormous ones.
Why would you
And
get
I'm
a
like, are they actually gonna?
How do you eat that?
They're like, we want to see how long it
Like-
takes them to eat it.
I'm licking it like
I like, do you wrap it up each time after?
I know. Like, how many licks does it take to get the center of a Tootsie Roll pop? 4 million at this point.
I guess so. That's
Unless you're
too
gonna,
funny.
like, run it underwater, but anyway.
That's so
The
funny.
Legend of the Chupacabra. All right. So if you thought vampires were only found in gothic castles and horror movies, think again. So tonight, we're headed to the rural countryside of Puerto Rico, Mexico, and parts of the southern United States to talk about the one of the most bizarre and controversial cryptids ever reported, the Chupacabra.
Ooh.
So the name Chupacabra literally means goat sucker in Spanish.
All right.
Not exactly the most comforting nickname. So the legend first exploded in Puerto Rico in 1995 when farmers began reporting a strange and terrifying phenomenon. Their livestock, mostly goats, chickens, and sheep, were being found dead in the fields, but these weren't from normal predator attacks. The animals were discovered completely drained of blood.
It's 1995 is very new.
Yeah,
or
that's
like
not very
recent. I
long
mean,
ago.
no, I mean,
I
it
think
is because I always think it's like 10 years ago. It's not, but it's
I
really
think-
not
I
that
think
long ago.
Chantal might be born in 1990. I think maybe, I don't know.
Ew.
So-
Wow.
Anyways. Oh my God. So many of them had small puncture wounds in their necks or chests. And strangely, there was often very little blood at the scene. It was as if something had fed on them and then vanished into the night. So naturally, panic spread quickly. People began describing a creature they believed was responsible. So the earliest sightings described something that sounded like it crawled straight out of a sci-fi nightmare. So witnesses claim the creature was about 4 to 5 feet tall, with spines running down its back, glowing red eyes, grayish reptilian skin, and the ability to hop or glide like a kangaroo. Some even said it had clawed hands and bat-like features.
Wow.
So this version of the chupacabra looked less like an animal and more like an alien.
Yeah.
As news spread across Puerto Rico, reports exploded through Mexico, Chile, and parts of the United States, especially in Texas. Most random, like Texas. Anyways,
I
but
know.
here's where things do get strange. So in many of the later sightings, the creature actually looks completely different from the original description. So instead of a reptilian monster, witnesses began reporting a hairless, dog-like creature with patchy skin, large fangs, and a strange, hunched posture. Some said it looked like a coyote suffering from severe mange. So if you've never
Yeah, that's what
seen
I
an
think
animal
of.
suffering, that it's absolutely awful.
It is.
But in fact, many scientists actually believe that's exactly what it was.
That's what I've always pictured it as.
Yeah. So several captured chupacabras, because yes, they've captured these, over the years have been tested, and the DNA often shows that they are coyotes, dogs, or wolves actually suffering from mange, which causes hair loss, thickened skin, and a very unsettling appearance. It's quite awful. Google it if you really want to see, because it's
It's gross.
but that explanation doesn't satisfy everyone. Some reports still describe the original spined creature, and some livestock deaths remain unexplained. So there are several theories out there, suggesting that the chupacabra might be a government
Asparagus.
experiment. Yes, yeah, those are fucking.
That
strange
would
things.
be terrifying.
No, fucking awful. A government experiment that escaped, a mutated predator, a cryptid species that hasn't been discovered, or even an extraterrestrial creature. Of course, skeptics argue that livestock deaths can be explained by normal predators and scavengers, and that the myth simply grew as stories spread. But for farmers who have walked out into their fields to find animals mysteriously drained of blood, the legend still feels very real. And the sightings still continue today. So the question does remain: is a chupacabra just a misunderstood animal suffering from a disease, or something lurking in the fields after dark, waiting for the next goat to wander a little too far away from the barn?
Oh my god.
And then I have, either way, if you're out in the countryside late at night and you hear something moving through the bush or the brush, you might want to keep an eye on your livestock and maybe your neck.
No kidding.
So next time you're outside,
Well,
remember that.
as Evie is out there right now. Do.
Oh my God.
Take a peek. I think she's fine. No chupacabras. But it's interesting though. Like, why would it just drain the animal of blood and not eat it?
It's thirsty. But then again, why do vampires drink blood and not eat the person?
That's a good question. Next week's episode, we'll get a vampire in and interview them.
I'm sure that we could find one, which is the sad part.
I know. Well, of course. Keep talking. 2 seconds.
yes.
Letting a dog inside who's just
You're
decided.
letting your own little chupacabra in the house.
Yes, I was gonna say she's heard the stories of the chupacabra.
She's like, I heard a noise in the bush. Protect my neck.
I'm in. Don't let them get me.
Oh,
Chupacabra.
But the one good thing is they've never experienced a chupacabra up here in Ontario, because I guess it's too damn cold.
It's only
to survive.
Probably, I don't blame them. Okay, no. Go away. Chupacabra. Her face looked so demonic. All right. Well, from the lands of the southern states to the deep, deep ocean. For now, we talk about the Kraken.
Oh, no.
So, the word Kraken originates from the 18th century Norwegian, derived from the Old Norse word krake or kraki, probably not pronounced like that at all. It refers to a malformed or overgrown crooked tree.
That's confusing.
I know. Which was applied to a mythical twisted sea monster. The term is also related to the German krake, again, probably not said that, meaning octopus or type of sea creature, and refers to Scandinavian folklore monsters. So the Kraken legend comes from Scandinavian folklore, particularly from Norway and Iceland. Sorry, I lost my
That's where
It's
I'm
there.
from.
From Iceland or Norway?
Norway. I'm
Or,
Scandinavian,
well, I
apparently.
was going to say, well, I guess you have the look.
That's
Blonde
not
hair,
true. I
blue
look like
eyes, that's it.
I'm a Viking. No.
If I sit like this, I look like I have Medusa's hair. That was amazing.
That's awesome.
All right. The earliest written descriptions appear in the early 1700s. One of the first detailed accounts was recorded by Hans Egede. Egede? We'll just say Hans,
Just
a
yeah.
Danish Norwegian missionary and explorer in 1734. Hans described a gigantic sea creature seen by sailors near Greenland. Later, in 1752, the Norwegian bishop and naturalist Erik Pontoppidan.
Just,
Where's Tom Smith?
we'll just drop a marble
Um,
in a container.
exactly.
And then just think of that sound.
Pontoppidan. Sure. Wrote about the Kraken in his book, The Natural History of Norway. He treated it almost like a real animal rather than just a myth. However, the oral stories are probably much older, likely circulating among Scandinavian sailors for hundreds of years prior to the 1700s, possibly as early as the Middle Ages, so around the 1200s and 1400s, which is crazy. So, the Kraken is described as a gigantic sea monster, usually resembling a colossal octopus or a massive squid like creature. And yes, there is a difference. I don't know what the. Anyways. Common features include enormous tentacles, huge suckers capable of gripping ships, a body so large that sailors sometimes mistook it for an island. Some stories claim the Kraken could be over a mile wide. Many scholars believe the myth may have been inspired by sightings of a giant squid, which is a real deep sea creature which can grow 40 to 50 feet, which is 12 to 15 meters, which is absolutely terrifying.
It is.
Why Kaz doesn't swim in the ocean? So, the Kraken is said to live in the cold waters of the North Atlantic Ocean, especially around the coasts of Norway, Iceland, and Greenland. It supposedly dwells deep on the ocean floor, rising only occasionally to the surface. When it surfaces, the water around it is said to bubble violently, fill with fish, and sometimes smell so foul as if the sea floor has been disturbed. Gross. In the legend, it smells like the people that try to smuggle fish across the border that we were talking about earlier. So in the legend, the Kraken is both a protector and a destructive force. Sailors believe it would rise from the depths without warning, wrap its giant tentacles around ships, pull entire vessels underwater, and devour the sailors. Some stories say the Kraken preferred to attack fishing ships since the smell of fish attracted it. Okay. So the Kraken torments sailors in several ways. It crushes ships with its giant tentacles, drags ships underwater by pulling them down, creates deadly whirlpools, and devours any sailors left floating around in the ocean. It is also said that sometimes sailors are snatched off of the decks by the giant tentacles. That's terrifying as well. So the Kraken became famous in literature, especially in the 1800s. For example, the poem The Kraken by Alfred Tennyson in 1830 describes the creature sleeping deep beneath the sea until the end of the world. Today, the Kraken appears in many modern stories and films, such as The Clash of the Titans and the remake Clash of the Titans. Oh, I guess it's the same movie, it's just remade. And the Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest. Not the one with Penelope Cruz, right? You're hypocrite. How many times can we fit her into our podcast? Let's try and do it until she comes on our show. One day she's just going to be like, cease and desist. In modern depictions, it is often portrayed as an enormous tentacled monster capable of destroying fleets of ships in a single blow. So the earliest dramatic sightings was reported by Hans Egger while sailing near Greenland in 1734. Hans wrote that the crew saw something massive rise out of the sea beside their ship. What they described was a creature larger than the ship itself, a huge body with what looked like arms or fins spreading outwards, and a head rising above the waves. He said the creature's back looked like a floating island, and when it sank back into the ocean, it created powerful waves around the ship. This report helped convince many Europeans that the Kraken must be a real sea creature. Many sailors told a similar terrifying story. They would think they found a small island only to realize it was the Kraken. Whoops. According to accounts recorded by Eric Pompidou, The Natural History of Norway in 1752, sailors would approach what looked like a rocky island. Some even climbed or claimed they tried to anchor near it, and suddenly the island began to sink or move. Then the surface would break apart and huge tentacles rising out of the water. As the creature dove, it supposedly created massive whirlpools that would drag ships down. Another eerie Kraken sighting reported by fishermen off the coast of Norway was a sudden explosion of fish to the surface. Sailors said thousands of fish would suddenly gather above one spot. The water would become dark and oily. Bubbles and foams would rise from below. Fishermen believed this meant the Kraken was feeding beneath them, and sometimes they quickly sailed away, fearing the monster might rise and destroy the boat. So several sailors in North Atlantic claimed they saw huge arms rising out of the water near their ships. In these stories, the tentacles were described as thick as tree trunks. Some accounts said they reached the tops of masts. The suckers would grip the hull or rigging. And although none of these reports were scientifically confirmed, such stories spread fear among sailors traveling between Norway, Iceland, and Greenland. So in the 18 to 1900s, scientists began discovering real deep sea creatures like the giant squid and the colossal squid. These animals, as said before, could grow 40 to 50 feet in length, have enormous tentacles with strong suckers, and live deep in ocean waters. Some researchers believe sailors really did see the giant squid, but because they were unfamiliar and frightened, the stories grew into the myth of the Kraken. So the Kraken is a legendary sea monster from Scandinavian folklore, first recorded in the 1700s, but likely much older. Said to live in the North Atlantic, it resembles a giant squid or octopus that attacks ships, drags sailors underneath, and creates deadly whirlpools. Happy swimming, everyone. Have fun on that cruise.
Listen, I'm surprised you haven't yelled out, release the Kraken yet.
I actually watched Clash of the Titans the other day because it has two of my characters in it. Because it also has her in it as well. But anyways,
I watched the
Ooh,
movie.
does it
Hopper.
have a dragon? No, it doesn't have a dragon. I was like, yes, it's three of my people. But
I watched the movie Hoppers on the weekend with my kid. It's actually really good, and there's some adult stuff in there.
There always is, and you're like,
pretty-
oh,
It's a Disney Pixar movie. What do you expect? Especially when the little
yes.
caterpillar is like, "Watch me pupate." It's just like,
Oh
like,
my.
and we're like, "Oh my god." It's great. It's great.
Wow.
That might be a whole episode too. All right. I'll be next. All right. So when people think about Bigfoot, they usually picture the misty forests of the Pacific Northwest, towering trees, fog rolling through the mountains, and a giant hairy creature stomping around somewhere in the distance.
Yes.
But what if I told you that Bigfoot might have a southern cousin?
Oh
One
my
that
gosh.
doesn't live in pine forests or mountain ranges. Instead, it lurks in humid swamps, thick mangroves, and mosquito infested marshland. And
Oh,
according to witnesses, you can usually smell it before you see it. Welcome to the legend of the skunk ape.
game.
So, the skunk ape is most commonly reported in Florida, particularly in the Everglades, but sightings have come from parts of Georgia, Alabama, and Mississippi. And locals have been talking about this creature for decades. And the nickname, well, that comes from one of its very distinctive features. Witnesses say the creature smells absolutely horrendous.
Oh.
And if you're a hairy man in the South, I'm pretty sure you probably smell the same too. Just saying. Please, I don't want anyone to prove me right or wrong.
Send your complaints to Paranormal.
So we're talking the smell. We're talking about a mix of rotting garbage, wet dog, swamp water, and skunk spray all rolled together for one unforgettable scent. Literally kind of what South Whitby smells like. If you're
Oh, burn.
through the swamp and suddenly smell something that makes your eyes water, you might want to look around. So descriptions of the skunk ape are very similar to Bigfoot. People claim it stands 6 to 8 feet tall, covered in dark reddish or brown hair, with long arms, broad shoulders, and glowing eyes that reflect in the dark. Some witnesses say it walks upright like a human. Others claim they have seen it moving through the swamp water, sometimes waist deep, disappearing into the thick vegetation before anyone can get a clear look. Surprise. One of the most famous skunk ape stories happened in the year 2000. So,
Very recent.
yeah, when the Sarasota County's Sheriff's Office in Florida received a bizarre anonymous letter. So, inside the envelope were 2 photographs of a hairy, large creature standing in someone's backyard near an orange grove.
Okay. It's Florida, so right off the bat.
You know. The person who sent the letter claimed the animal had been stealing apples from their yard and believed it was the skunk ape. So the photos quickly spread across the internet and obviously through the cryptid communities. And to this day, no one knows who sent them or exactly what was in the photo, like what the creature was in the photo. Skeptics argue that the skunk ape is simply misidentified wildlife. Florida swamps are home to black bears, wild hogs, and large apes in captivity that occasionally escape. Other people simply think that it could be shadows, tree stumps, or animals moving through the dense swamp vegetation. But believers do point out something very interesting. The Everglades are vast, remote, and incredibly difficult to explore fully. Even today, there are areas humans rarely enter. So, if a large, intelligent primate wanted to stay hidden there, it might actually be possible. And sightings haven't stopped ever. Campers, hunters, and airboat tour guides have reported strange screams, heavy footsteps, and strong foul odors moving throughout the swamp at night. So the next time you're wandering through the Florida Everglades and the air suddenly fills with the smell of something truly awful, you might want to ask yourself, did something die out here, or did the skunk ape just pass by?
Yeah, the skunk ape slash stanky old man.
In the Florida Everglades.
Yeah. That, you know what? There is more, I think, what anacondas in the Everglades per square mile than there is anywhere else ever in the world. Like, it's disgusting.
There is
so
actually
gross.
a video, and I know it's been on like Paranormal Caught on Camera and stuff, and like I don't think it's unsolved. No, it's too new for unsolved mysteries. Maybe. I don't know. Anyways, if you look it up, you can see, and maybe I'll see if I can find the video to post as well. I know I have a picture of it, but they have like somebody filmed this skunk ape out in the Everglades. Like he's in the swamp. So
Wow.
I don't know. Like for me, I don't think I would even dare anybody to do that because I'd be like, nope. God knows what's
Not at
poisonous out
all.
there.
Listen,
Crocodiles, alligators, whatever the fuck's out there.
crocodiles. Yeah, I think alligators. Alligators, giant giant anacondas. Oh, sorry. That was my dog making a weird sound. Spiders, like you name it.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Mosquitoes that could probably just pick you up and fly away with you. Forget it.
No, fuck that.
I know. I don't think so. I don't think so.
No.
Well, talking of snakes, like the segue I did there. We now come to I think my favorite story that I'm going to talk about. Going outside.
Listen, you're gonna turn into her in a few seconds if you keep yelling like that.
Oh my gosh. You're not going outside. Release the Kraken. Got it in there. All right. We now talk about this beautiful lady behind me, Medusa. So the story of Medusa comes from the mythology of ancient Greece. The earliest surviving written accounts date around 700s BCE. One of the earliest references appears in the Theogony of the Greek poet Hesiod.
Which, how do you spell it?
Hesiod, Hesiod. Hesiod.
There you go.
Later writers, including the Roman poet Ovid, retold and expanded the story in works like Metamorphoses, 1st century CE. Over time, the legend has evolved and different versions of Medusa's story has appeared. But we're going to discuss the true version of Medusa. So, Medusa was born and lived as a mortal. She was not a Gorgon, as popular stories dictate. Medusa was said to be the most beautiful mortal in the land and served the priestess Athena. Every day, Medusa would head to the priestess's temple, where she would clean it and attend to Athena's temple as needed. One day, the god Neptune, or Poseidon, depending on if you're Roman or Greek, saw Medusa and instantly wanted her. Now, Medusa was a virgin and lived a life in service of the priestess and therefore would not entertain Neptune in any way, shape, or form. And this angered him a lot. If you don't know, Neptune was a notorious womanizer. If you've seen The Little Mermaid, you notice The Little Mermaid has like 25 sisters and they all have different hair and different colors because Daddy was a hoe. Anyways,
How does name was Triton?
I don't, well, there's Neptune, Poseidon, whatever mythological name you want to call him.
Okay.
I don't know what Little
Either way.
Mermaid's dad was. So Neptune, who was a notorious womanizer, never took no for an answer. So he raped Medusa inside Athena's temple. This enraged Athena, and angered by the desecration of her sanctuary, Athena punished Medusa. She blamed Medusa, accusing her of making Neptune want her and clearly being the one to provoke him and do the things that made him do what he did to her. Athena said, "I will make you so hideous that any man who gazes upon you shall turn to stone." This later turned into the well-known story of Medusa being able to turn men to stone with her gaze. The story also involved the claim that Medusa had a head full of snakes for her hair. In earlier centuries, snakes were considered evil, primarily due to the combination of religious narratives, natural fear of their lethal nature, and their association with chaotic and chaotic underworld forces. Snakes were considered cunning and deceptive, and if you think the snake and Eve, and many narratives often portrayed them as malevolent. Ashamed and hurt by her harsh punishment, Medusa fled the city and took refuge in the forgotten caves far from civilization. Anyone who encountered her faced her terrible danger. Over time, Medusa gained an army of the dead. That's right. Medusa had necromancy powers and summoned the dead. She and her ghost warriors went back to the city and attacked them, coming extremely close to killing the gods and goddesses that reside there. Fearing her own demise, though, Medusa retreated after realizing that she was not going to win this one and headed back to her cave. Priestess Athena, realizing Medusa was way more powerful than anyone thought, enlisted the help of Perseus, who was a half man, half god. He was the son of the god Zeus and the human princess Danae. Doesn't matter. Anyways, Perseus had divine protection and strength from his father, and this made him the perfect person for fighting dangerous quests. Before he left, Princess Athena gave Perseus a mirrored shield, which she said you would know how to use when the time came. Perseus set out to Medusa's cave. All around and inside the cave were statues of men, all victims to Medusa's gaze. A lot of the men who were assisting Perseus became a victim of Medusa during their epic fight. When it came time to fighting Medusa, Perseus used the mirrored shield to see Medusa's reflection, avoiding her gaze. He then sliced her head off, killing her instantly. From her severed head rose Pegasus and Chrysaor. I believe he's a cyclops.
Sure.
Anyways, these were the children of Medusa and Neptune. Perseus kept Medusa's head in a bag because she still had the power to turn people to stone. And he later gave the head, or later used the head to kill his enemies. If you watch The Clash of the Titans, he then gave Athena Medusa's head, and she placed it on her shield called the Aegis. What? Why do I have all the hard words today?
You picked it.
And this stayed on the shield, and it continued to frighten enemies for days to come. So, the meaning behind the story of Medusa, sadly, it still rings very true in today's society. Many women who are victim of crimes by men are often not only mocked, but made to carry the shame of that crime. Medusa was accused of leading Neptune on, essentially asking for it. Medusa was punished, but Neptune was never reprimanded. Medusa was shamed, and society shunned her, literally turning their heads when they saw her. She was made to be an outcast through no fault of her own. Turning people to stone represents society becoming hardened to such crimes. The mirrored shield represents literally having to look at your reflection to fight the demons. So you have to sort of reflect and look at yourself to slay the beast. The story is a classic example of how Greek and Roman myths were interpreted differently over time, evolving from a complex narrative of victimization and divine cruelty to a simple tale of a monster. It's much easier just to say she was a hideous beast who turned people to stone than actually know why and what happened to her. Medusa's image was used throughout ancient Greece as a protective symbol to scare away evil, and later used as a symbol of a warrior overcoming her trauma to return and fight the very people who victimized her. Those of you who watch this show on a regular basis may know I have a Medusa tattoo. And that represents my own victimization and my own warrior comeback. Anyways, this story is also similar to one that came from Africa. It is said that while stationed in South Africa, likely for the Second Boer War from 1899 to 1902 in South Africa, many of the white soldiers fell in love with a beautiful African woman. Through jealousy, the wives of the soldiers made up stories that the African woman was evil. She had snakes in her hair, which were likely referencing her locks or her braided hair. And any man that looks at her would turn hard or like stone and then should be punished. And this is likely representing that they would get an erection, a telltale sign that the men looked at her.
Well, the man in this room was like, I get that right away.
While the war is a true part of history, the African woman is not a historical reference, but one of my good friends many, many years ago told me that story of her and how the story of Medusa was very similar. So
That's kind of cool.
it is.
It is. Jay thought it was
Been
great.
tearing you hard. Oh, that's amazing. We know what you've been doing.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm gonna take you deep into the Amazon rainforest now.
Oh
My
gosh.
mom says I should have been born. Because I don't like the cold. I like the heat and the humidity. But anyways, all right. So now we're heading deep into the Amazon rainforest, where one of the strangest cryptids, because that's what these monsters are, in the world is said to roam. A creature so bizarre that even people who study unknown animals sometimes pause and say, okay, that one is weird. So meet the Mapinguari. So the Mapinguari, and I'm probably saying it wrong, is a legendary creature from the folklore of Brazil and parts of the Amazon basin. So indigenous communities have told stories about it for generations, long before modern cryptid hunters even started paying attention. So according to these stories, the Mapinguari is an enormous, terrifying creature that lives deep in the jungle, rarely seen by humans. So descriptions vary, but witnesses often say the Mapinguari stands over 6 feet tall, covered in thick reddish or brown fur, and has massive claws capable of tearing through trees. Almost sounds like Bigfoot. But the strangest detail of all, some legends claim that the Mapinguari has a mouth located in the middle of its stomach.
Okay.
It's, in the middle. Anyways, yeah, like I said, you heard that right. A stomach mouth.
Gross.
And if that wasn't unsettling enough, some reports say the creature gives off a horrible rotting smell. So it's kind of like the skunk ape now. Which
You have all the smelly ones today.
Hey, listen, when you are in the jungle and you are furry as and it's hot
Yeah.
and you don't know what deodorant is, of course you're going to smell.
Yeah.
Hunters in the Amazon have long told stories about encountering something large moving through the forest, something powerful enough to break trees, shake the ground, and leave massive footprints behind. So this is just the Amazon version of Bigfoot. Others claim it can drop down and move on all fours like a giant sloth.
Ew.
And the last detail might not be random, because one of the most fascinating theories about the Mapinguari is that it may actually be connected to something that really existed. So millions of years ago, South America was home to giant ground sloths. So yes, giant ground sloths. Massive animals that could stand upright and reach incredible sizes. So some paleontologists believe it's possible that a small population of these giant sloths could have survived longer than we think, hiding deep within the remote regions of the Amazon. So the Mapinguari's descriptions, large, slow-moving, hairy with huge claws, actually match some characteristics of those prehistoric creatures. But the stories about my dog wants in the house. Jay, let the dog in. But the stories about the Mapinguari. All right, hold on. Yeah. So the stories about the stomach mouth and terrible smell, well, those might have been a result of folklore evolving over time. Of course, really, the dog is covered. The dog is covered in snow, and she just jumped up on the bed and just showered me in snow. Anyway,
delightful.
And Jay's laughing at her. Of course, skeptics argue that the Mapinguari is simply a myth, a cautionary tale meant to keep people from wandering too far into the dangerous parts of the jungle. And we've heard plenty of those in the past episodes. But interestingly, reports from hunters and villagers have continued into modern times. Some claim they've heard loud roaring deep in the forest. Others say they have found huge claw marks on trees or unusual tracks far larger than any known animal in the region. And considering the Amazon rainforest is one of the least explored places on Earth, it's not impossible that large animals could still be hiding there. So next time you picture the Amazon, don't just imagine colorful birds and tropical rivers. Imagine something big, slow, and incredibly powerful moving through the dense jungle. And if the wind suddenly changes and it carries the smell of something rotten through the trees, you might want to leave the area because, according to legend, the Mapinguari might be closer than you think. With its stomach mouth.
I know. What is that all about?
I don't know, but
It's
the pictures that I have of it,
Kraken. He has a
the pictures
stomach
I
mouth.
have of this thing is absolutely terrifying. Like this furry thing with this like mouth, like in the middle of its stomach, and it's like got teeth.
Gross.
It's not just a mouth; it actually has teeth.
Ew.
I know.
Well, on to a much lesser known monster, which is sort of close to where I used to live, and that is, of course, the legend of the Rat Man. And no, we're not talking about Splinter from the Ninja Turtles. Although maybe we are. Maybe this is where the story comes from.
Maybe now that you say that, I've just had this whole like, ooh.
I could have done. Well, let's listen. The legend of the Rat Man is said to have begun between the 1960s or 1970s in Southend-on-Sea, a close coastal town in Essex County, United Kingdom, which is about an hour and 30 minutes south of where I used to live. Many versions of the story center around an old underground passage beneath the town, especially areas near the seafront and the famous pier. Southend Pier is famous for being the longest pier in the world, extending 1.33 miles, so 2.14 kilometers, into the Thames estuary. The most detailed versions of the legend appear in modern paranormal books and local ghost tours, including accounts shared by the writer Neil Arnold. See, that's a great name. Neil Arnold. Done.
It's a very
Who
English name.
exactly? Neil Arnold, Reginald Bottom, who documents strange British folklore. Unlike the Kraken, there are no historical records from centuries ago. The story mainly spread through local rumors, urban legends, and ghost stories. The Rat Man is usually described as a human like creature with rat features, something between a man and a giant rat. Ew. Typical descriptions include about 6 feet tall, a hairy or furry covered body, a long rat like tail, a pointed snout, and sharp teeth and glowing eyes. Some witnesses claim the creature walks upright like a person, while others say it sometimes moves on all fours like an animal. According to the legend, the Ratman lives in underground tunnels and abandoned spaces beneath Southend-on-Sea. Places often mentioned include old storm drains and sewers, tunnels beneath the seafront, and areas near Southend Pier. The stories say the creature rarely appears above ground except late at night. Stories about Ratman says it lurks in dark tunnels and around and underground spaces, watches people from shadows, scavenges for food like a rat, and occasionally chases or frightens anyone who wanders into its territory. Some versions claim it feeds on rats and garbage, while darker versions say it might attack animals. Unlike the Kraken, who destroys ships, the Ratman legend focuses on terror and encounters. Reported dangers include sudden appearances, so people exploring tunnels suddenly hear scratching sounds before seeing the creature emerge from the darkness. Chasing intruders. Some stories say the Ratman chases people who enter a tunnel, forcing them to run for the exits. Strange noises. Witnesses have described screeching, scratching, and heavy breathing in the dark. These sounds often happen when someone is alone underground. Okay. Glowing eyes in the dark. A common detail is seeing two bright eyes reflected in the darkness, followed by the creature moving quietly away. Stories behind the monster. One popular version of the legend tells a tragic origin story According to this tale, a homeless man supposedly living in the tunnels under Southend-on-Sea was surviving by eating rats. Over time, locals claimed he became more like the animal, eventually turning into the Rat Man. There is no evidence that this actually happened, but the story has become a popular explanation for the legend. Today, the Rat Man is part of modern British urban folklore, similar to other mystic creatures. People discuss it in local monster stories, paranormal investigation groups, and urban exploration communities. However, there are no confirmed sightings or scientific evidence that such a creature exists. So maybe don't be going down into weird dark tunnels.
Listen,
No shit, you're gonna hear like weird sounds and friggin' see things in the dark.
Jay's just quoting Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Oh my gosh. And there you go. See, that's where it came from, I bet.
More than likely.
Someone
So
was
if you're gonna
like,
go down into the sewer, make sure you bring some pizza.
exactly.
Just saying. Oh my god. Speaking of which, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, The Secret of the Ooze is actually back playing in the movie theaters. So for anyone who wants to relive their childhood.
Is that the one where they were inside the suits, the people?
Yeah.
What's his name? Corey Feldman?
I have no idea.
I used to have a crush on Raphael. Okay. And then I found out that Corey Feldman played Raphael in the like one where they're actually in the suits. And I'm like,
what was the orange one? Michelangelo?
Michelangelo.
Yeah.
Michelangelo.
Okay, now we're talking about turtles.
I know. Again, we've gone off the rails.
Chaos. Well, since you were talking about some Rat Man, we're going to go head deep into Texas now because this is where one of the strangest and creepiest urban legends refuse to die. So this is the story of the Donkey Lady.
Oh my God.
So just outside San Antonio, Texas, there's a small bridge on Old Applewhite Road that locals have whispered about for decades. It's often called Donkey Lady Bridge, and according to legend, something terrifying still wanders the area at night. So this story goes back many years, though the details change depending on who you ask and who is telling the story. One version says there once was a woman who lived in a small farmhouse with her children. One night, her husband returned home drunk and violent, and during a terrible argument, he allegedly set the house on fire. The woman tried desperately to save her children from the burning house, but the flames quickly took over. By the time she escaped the fire, her body had been horribly burned. Her skin was said to be melted and twisted, and the fire had warped her face so badly that witnesses later described her as looking almost animal-like, like a donkey.
Oh my God.
So traumatized, disfigured, and driven mad by grief, the woman supposedly wandered away from the ruins of her home and disappeared into the surrounding woods. But the story doesn't end there. So locals began reporting sightings of a strange figure walking near the bridge at night. Witnesses then described this figure as a tall, hunched woman with burned skin and distorted features. And some say her arms seemed unnaturally long, and others say she made strange braying sounds that echoed through the darkness. And then came the stories from people who tried to investigate. So teenagers and thrill seekers would drive out to the bridge late at night to test the legend, and many claim to have heard heavy footsteps behind them or strange scratching sounds on their cars. Others said something pushed their vehicles while they were parked on the bridge. Some people even claim that if you turn off your headlights and call out to the donkey lady, she might appear. Or worse, she might follow you home. So skeptics believe the legend likely grew from a combination of local ghost stories, campfire tales, and the eerie atmosphere of the remote bridge itself. Over time, the story did evolve, becoming darker and more dramatic with each retelling. But despite the skepticism, Donkey Lady Bridge has become one of the most famous haunted urban legends in Texas. So even today, people still visit the area hoping to experience something strange. Some hear unexplained noises, some see shadows moving along the trees, and others say they feel like something is watching them from the darkness beyond the bridge. So, if you ever find yourself driving through the quiet back roads outside San Antonio late at night and you come across an old bridge in the middle of fucking nowhere, you might want to think twice before stopping your car, because according to the local legend, the donkey lady may still be out there and she doesn't like visitors.
Okay.
So why is she a donkey? Because she looked like a donkey with all her stuff coming off. Did I
Yeah.
miss the part where she
Yeah.
turns into a donkey?
She got horribly burned, and she basically, with like, her skin was said to be melted and twisted, and the fire had warped her face so badly that witnesses later described her almost looking like a donkey, like animal-like. And apparently she also brays at people.
Right.
So, you know.
Okay. Jesus. That's horrendous.
It's awful.
Well,
But he's considered a monster.
damn. Okay. Well, you've done a couple in Texas now. They've got some weird ones.
And Texas just seems to be messed up.
Well, I have another one from England. And this is the Wormingford Dragon. You've all heard of that, right? No, me neither. The legend is associated with the village of Wormingford in United Kingdom, located in the county of Essex. If you haven't clued in yet, Essex County, which is almost 4,000 kilometers in parameter, 400 kilometers of which is the coastline, is one of the most paranormal and supernatural places in the world. Fun fact, Essex, which is where I'm from, is the witch capital of England. There were more witches, actually, I think I wrote this down somewhere, per square mile than anywhere else ever. And more witches were hung and killed there in the witch trials. Continuing on with the dragon. The story of the Wormingford Dragon likely dates back to the Middle Ages, so we're talking 1100s to the 1400s, when many dragon legends appeared throughout England. Some historians think the village name itself hints at the legend. The word worm in Old English folklore often meant dragon or serpent, and ford refers to river crossing. So Wormingford may originally have meant something like the river crossing dragon serpent. The legend was later recorded in folklore collections about Essex and English dragons. The Wormingford dragon is described as a large serpent-like dragon. Typical descriptions include a long snake-like body, scales that glisten in the light, large wings in some versions, sharp claws and teeth, and sometimes the ability to breathe fire or poisonous fumes. Unlike the kraken, which lives in the ocean, this creature usually portrayed as a land dragon that lived near fields, forests, and rivers. According to the legend, the dragon lived near the countryside around Wormingford, particularly near the river Stour. Possibly, you'd think I'd know, but I don't. Possibly its lair described what? Oh, in folklore include caves and hollows in the countryside, dense woodlands, and areas near the river crossing. So these places were quiet and remote in medieval times, which made them perfect locations for mysterious stories. Like many dragons in British folklore, oh, I pressed the wrong button. There we go. The Wormingford dragon was believed to guard territory near its lair, attack livestock, terrify villagers, and occasionally destroy crops or farmland. The dragon was often said to roam at night, emerging from its hiding place to hunt. The dragon endangered the people in the area in several ways. So it would attack livestock. Farm animals such as sheep and cattle were sometimes said to disappear. In legends, villagers believed the dragon. Poisonous breath. Some versions say the dragon could release toxic fumes, killing animals or making the land around its lair very dangerous. Terrorizing travelers, anyone crossing the ford near Wormington Ford risked encountering the creature, especially at night. Although I don't know why you're crossing a river at night. Devouring victims. So the darker versions of the tale, the dragon would eat people who wandered too close to its lair. Many English dragon legends end with a local hero killing the monster, but the Wormingford story is less clear. In some versions, the dragon eventually disappeared. It may have been driven away or slain, though the hero's identity was lost over time. And because the legend is fragmentary, the ending was never firmly established like some other dragon tales. The Wormingford dragon is part of a wider tradition of English dragon legends, including famous stories such as the Lambton worm from County of Durham and Sockburn worm, also from the County of Durham. The dragon defeated by St. George in the legend of St. George and the Dragon. In these stories, worm often means giant serpent-like dragon rather than a small worm. Imagine this story is about a fucking worm, and St. George comes in and he's like wrestling with a little fucking worm. Oh, it's lame. I forgot I was going to do the Banshee, but we've already done way too much. So we'll just save her. We'll do a whole thing on witches.
Yeah. We should. Literally.
So I'll save her.
We have one about the Puckwedgie, but he's like a little cryptid.
Well, the Banshee technically is not necessarily a witch. She's more fairy-like. But anyways, we'll save her for another day.
All right. Well, I'll do a quick little Puckwedgie. So Puckwedgies, they're actually from the States, surprisingly, when you think about it. So the Puckwedgie comes from the tradition of the Wampanoag and other Algonquin-speaking peoples. The name is often translated to mean person of the wilderness. But don't let that friendly-sounding name fool you. These little beings are anything but harmless. So descriptions of Puckwedgies vary slightly, but most accounts say they are small humanoid creatures, usually about 2 to 3 feet tall, with gray or brown skin, large ears, glowing eyes, and sometimes even porcupine-like quills on their back. So think of something that looks like a tiny goblin that's been living in the woods for a very long time. Now, here's again where things get interesting. In many stories, Puckwedgies were originally friendly with humans, but according to legend, that changed after a conflict involving a giant cultural hero known as the Mossop. The tale says that the Puckwedgies grew jealous of the attention humans gave to the Mossop, and after a falling out, they turned against people. And when a Puckwedgie decides it doesn't like you, things can get weird.
Oh, no.
So these creatures are said to have a number of supernatural abilities, such as appearing and disappearing at will, luring people deeper into the forest, pushing or tripping unsuspecting hikers, transforming into animals like cougars, and using magic arrows or spears. So some stories even suggest they can control fire or lead travelers off of cliffs or into swamps.
Oh, dear.
One of the most famous places tied to Puckwedgie sightings is Freetown Fall River State Forest, a location already known for strange paranormal claims. And over the years, hikers have reported seeing small shadowy figures darting between the trees, hearing strange laughter in the woods, and feeling as if something was watching them. So Puckwedgies are weird. And
the name itself is weird.
We've actually been to a place that we were told that people have had encounters with Puckwedgies. Do you know where that is?
Is that Hinsdale?
Yeah.
Yeah. Makes sense, I suppose, where it is.
Yeah, because somebody did say when we were there the first time, because you weren't there.
Around the tree. Didn't they capture a picture of it?
Something like that, yeah. So yeah.
I don't know if I was there for the story of that. I know on one of the shows that went to Hinsdale, someone captured a picture of a little face around a tree, the giving tree. Is that what it's called? The giving tree?
Mhm. Yeah.
And they said, I'm pretty sure they said it was a puckwudgie.
So
Some little elemental thing.
yeah, little monster who hates
Mhm.
people, who apparently will change into a cougar.
And they also have, so on, there's a tree right next to where we sat around the fire pit and cooked hot dogs. There's a little, I don't know, face on a tree. Like
Yes.
it's a
Yeah.
thing or whatever. I remember them talking about that being some sort of elemental thing that they tried to ward off some whatever thing. So yeah,
Well, maybe we'll go back there and figure
interesting.
it out on our own.
Yeah. Well, it's gonna happen, I'm quite sure.
Oh, it will. It will definitely happen. But anyways, those are
But
monsters.
first, our most favorite place. My most
Yeah.
favorite place.
We might have to do a whole other podcast on that too.
Oh, of course we are. I think we're gonna go live from there.
Oh, of course we will. That'll be
Mhm.
on the Paranormal Seekers page. Well, maybe on this one too. I don't know. Figure it out when we get there.
Yeah,
Or YouTube. I don't know. We'll do something. Or both. One of us will go on one of us will go on the other.
exactly. I think maybe
That's
we'll do that.
that's what we did the first time, and that's when we caught crazy stuff. Just saying.
Best time ever.
But that is monsters for you from around the world, and well, mine were mostly from the States, apparently. But I did some South America, so we're good.
Well, mine was all over. Couple from
We're good.
England. We covered the world, I'm sure.
Yeah, we did. Well, there's only so many times you can talk about something that falls under the Bigfoot category because you've got like Bigfoot, you've got Yeti, you've got the Yowie, you've got like the skunk ape. They're all like the same, pretty much. They're just from different parts of the world, so they call them different things. But they're pretty much the same. But anyways, so yeah, if you've ever had an experience with a weird monster, you can send them to us because we'd love to hear them. So you can email your experiences at paranormalpodcast@gmail.com. So PAREHNORMAL podcast@gmail.com. Or you can comment on our Facebook or our Instagram. We're going to post a whole bunch of stuff this week. So you can see these lovely pictures. So, you can see my map inquiry with its monster mouth in its stomach.
Oh. Although I am thinking of like a fuggler, and they're kind of cute. Do you know what fugglers are?
Ethan has one
Oh my God.
somewhere.
They're so funny.
It
I
looks like
love
it has
them.
real teeth. Like, I'm like, really?
I know. That's why. So my daughter, when she was obsessed with them, she first brought one home, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, did you steal dentures from someone and sew them into this teddy bear? And then over time, I'm like, I love them. Remember I got the fugglers when we were probably on our way
Yeah.
to either Hinsdale or Wildwood, and you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I love them.
Yeah.
And I think I got a Yeti or a Bigfoot one. Well, they all kind of look Bigfoot. But yeah, they look like their mouth is in their stomach because it's so big and it has teeth. Imagine they are real teeth.
I really, really hope
Some
not.
sick person is like, let's sell this to the children. In this world, I wouldn't be surprised.
Oh my god.
Sadly.
What is next? Next week, I know we're busy. We're doing a whole bunch of recording at once, but
we've got like 3 on the go.
I know. Next week's episode that you are going to get will be about ghosts and traveling.
Yeah.
Can they go? Do they have vacations? Do they travel with us? All that fun stuff. That's what we're going to talk about next week. And then, yeah, that'll be fun.
Yep.
So, but anyways, have a great week, everyone. That's the end of this episode.
Enjoy spring, winter, spring, winter, spring, winter.
It's a fucking blizzard outside right now. I'm watching it on my camera. And and Kathy sent us a text message in the group chat. What does it say here?
Shout out to Kathy.
It says, This is from Kathy, everyone. Who ordered this shit outside? Driving in a blizzard, for God's sake.
Yeah. We just had grass.
I know. And then it dumped on us. And then it rained and melted. And now I can't see any grass outside again because it is all wet.
No.
I'm done. I hate this weather.
It's ridiculous. It
We
really
need
is.
sunshine. We need the sunshine. But anyways,
Yeah.
that's it. Have a great week, everyone. Enjoy this up and down weather. Because in 2 days it'll melt.
Exactly. And then
in 2 more
t-shirts on
days-
again.
Yeah. And then in 2 more days we'll get more snow.
Oh,
The joys of March. Listen, as long as it doesn't
Lord.
snow and do shit weather on April 3rd, I'm good.
exactly. Mother Nature.
Yeah.
I think we'll be good.
Listen, if she wants to give us a thunderstorm while we're investigating, I am all for that.
That's fine.
100%.
Although with that house, sometimes it's a little sketchy of whether or not the roof is actually.
Is it gonna rain in the house?
Yeah. Do we need an umbrella to sleep?
Maybe we'll bring a tarp.
I think we were pretty good last time.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Let's figure it out. Anyways, have a great week, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.